Hi, my name's Sam Marland and I'm a solution architect working at Red Hat in the UK. Today I'm going to take you through a short demonstration on how you can move applications to and from OpenShift and onto other Kubernetes platforms. We're going to briefly discuss what makes an application portable and what to think about when moving these applications around. I've decided to put this together because it's a topic that comes up often with my customers. How hard is it? How easy is it to move my applications around once they're on Kubernetes? And what benefit do I get from OpenShift running in a consistent way across all these different providers? So um, to aid this demonstration, I've put together a demo application. I'm going to introduce you to that now. So what I've built is a to-do application which stores its state in a Postgres database. So I've taken the popular to-do MVC open source project, which I'll link in the description below the video, and I've added an API layer in Node.js behind that, which connects through to a Postgres database. And the configuration for that database, the connection configuration, is dynamically injected at runtime, and that's the key thing here, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But quickly, I just wanted to run you through the various different environments we're going to touch on during this demo. So firstly, we're going to start by running the application here locally on my local machine. And that's just going to use a local instance of Postgres storage provided by my local hard drive. We're going to then take that application and we're going to move that container image, exact image, and run it on OpenShift in a private cloud setting. That's going to be backed by a Postgres database, which is provided by a Kubernetes operator, backed by NFS storage. And for ingress, we're going to use the OpenShift root object, which we'll talk about in a minute. We're then going to take that exact image and again move it to OpenShift in the Google Cloud. But this time we're going to use their Cloud SQL database. And then we're going to quickly show you the application running in OpenShift on the IBM Cloud, although I'm not going to create that runtime here just to save time. And then we're going to get into moving this application onto other Kubernetes distributions. So we're going to move to Azure's AKS, here using Nginx Ingress and a Postgres database provided as a service. And then finally onto ICP on the IBM Cloud, so another distribution of Kubernetes, again using Ingress provided by Nginx, and this time a Postgres database backed just simply by ephemeral storage. So let me show you the application. Let's get into it. So if I do a npm, you'll see the application is running here, and great, it's already picked up the config. So firstly, I'll show you the application running. So this is my application, and you can see I have a few to-dos ready loaded in the database. So that's great work. So if I just add a new one, so let's do say hello to the world. Brilliant. So we've got our to-do here. Now to prove to you that the state is being stored, if I quit this application, I refresh, right, definitely dead, and I start it up again, you'll notice that my to-do is persisted, right? So it's being stored into a database. So we can tick that. Now, I quickly wanted to show you the code that kind of makes this work. And it's really this section of code here. And what we're doing is we're effectively loading in configuration data from this directory here. And then we're using that configuration data to connect to our database down here. And that's the thing that enables this portability, because in each of the different environments, we'll have different backing services that we need to connect to. And to make this demo work, I've chosen a ubiquitous technology such as Postgres that can be run in all these different places, which gives me the portability that I need. So this is really kind of how it works. So now that we've got the application running here, that's great. Let's now get it running in an OpenShift cluster, right? So in a fully fledged cluster, not just on my local laptop. So if I do the OC status here, this tells me, some basic information about what I'm connected to, and you can see here I'm connected to this cluster here. And if I do an OC get all, you'll see that I have some stuff running in this cluster already. And this is my database that I already told you about and is running here and has some data pre-loaded into it. So we can get going right away and get our application loaded. Now, I mentioned that our config data is injected into eeach environment, and so I need to create that data and load it into OpenShift here. So if I quickly show you the config data, so if I do. So I'm just going to copy the right config data over, and I'll show you that config data. And you'll see this is just the basic information. So host, username, password, the database itself, and the port number of the application and the port of the database. Now you'll notice here we have some sensitive data that we're going to be loading in here. So I'm going to load this in as a Kubernetes secret. So I'm just going to use a handy one-line command to create my secret. Now, there's no reason why I'm using OC here, the OC command line, which we ship with OpenShift. There's no reason why I couldn't use the kubectl command line here, as OpenShift is a fully CNCF, standard cluster OpenShift distribution. So firstly, I'm going to create my deployment, and then I'm also going to create a service. So this is how we load balance traffic across our application. Now let's jump into the OpenShift web console here. Now if I come to workloads, you'll see that my app is running. This is my app here, and this is my database. And what we're going to do here is just expose this service that we've just created, this Kubernetes service, out to the outside world using an OpenShift route. This pre-fills all these handy fields for me here, and I hit create, and now I get my route. And what you'll see is this application connecting to its database on first startup, and we're off. And you can see here, we've got some to-dos preloaded, and we've moved our application from my local machine to my OpenShift cluster. Now, I just want to show you what we created here, because these are just standard Kubernetes files, Kubernetes YAML files. And what you can see here, this is the important stuff here. So this is, we're going to create, we're going to mount in our secret, our Kubernetes secret to this path of our opt app root source config. And that means it's in the right place for our application to load its configuration data from. And you can see we're using this image here, and we'll use this image throughout the demo, and this is an image I uploaded to key.io earlier on. Cool. So we've now taken our application and we've moved it to our first cluster. So now let's log into our second cluster. Now this cluster is an OpenShift cluster running on the Google Cloud, and I will just grab the credentials for this cluster. And you'll see that here I am in my project of hybrid to do, and I'm connected to the Google Cloud OpenShift cluster that I've created. Now you'll notice there's nothing running here. That's because this database is running as a service right in the Google Cloud, and you can see my database here. Not much traffic coming to my database at the moment. So let's create our application. Sorry. So if I just jump to here, and I do an OC create. Firstly, I need to sort out my config. So this is, again, the config is the important part. So I'm going to grab my config, which I have pre-filled just to make this demo nice and smooth. And I'm going to create my secret again. So exactly the same as I did last time. And I forgot to clear this down from my last demo. So let's delete that just to make sure everyone thinks I'm not cheating. And then we can just create that this time. So created my secret, great. And now I'm going to create my my deployment, my service, and also this time I'm going to create my route from the command line. And if I do an OC get routes, I have my route here. But what's interesting here is, although a route is an OpenShift specific object, I can actually use kubectl to get that object because this is a CRD, a custom resource definition, which means it can be used. I can use the kubectl command line and it works just fine. So I've got my root, so we'll hit this, and here we are. We have our app running on the Google Cloud, and you can see I have a to-do here that we can check off. And this is the console in the Google Cloud. You can see the address here. And I just wanted to show you this just so that you can see it. And this is my application running right here. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you this same application just running in the IBM cloud. So I already have this set up from earlier. This is a managed offering of OpenShift, just showing you different ways that you can run these things. And we'll just have a quick look, and we see we have a root pre-created, and I'm going to connect through, and you can see here, got a couple more we can tick off. Now this is, again, an as a service offering of a database, so Postgres as a service with OpenShift as a service. So I didn't even have to create this cluster; it was created on my behalf, which is a great experience. Now we're going to move this application to Azure. So if I now log into my Azure cluster, this time this is a cluster that doesn't have its own command line, doesn't have like OC. So I'm going to use the kubectl command line here, and if I can spell it right. And I'm just going to show you again, nothing running here. So we can get straight into this now. So firstly, I need to sort out my config again. So I'm going to sort out my config, move it in the right place just so I can create it. And I'm going to, just because it's a long command, I'm going to create my secret. Now from here, I can continue my same pattern of creating my deployment. And again, these are exactly the same files for each environment. I'm not changing the deployment, not changing the service. Now, I clearly hadn't cleaned down properly again from my last time, but let's just do that now because we want to make sure that people believe that this is real and I'm not faking it. Cool. Now, because I'm in Azure this time, I don't have a root. A root is an OpenShift specific object. So here, I'm going to create an ingress object. Now, let's just see what's happened there. Get ingress. That's the wrong one. So let's just delete that to make sure that we don't get the wrong thing here. That's it, that's better. Cool, now if I do get ingress, perfect. So if I come to this address here, sorry, you'll see in a second, I have my pod. And what I've done is I've not created my service with the namespace with the -n option. This is actually interesting. So one of the things that the OC command line does for you is it makes sure to always create it in the namespace that you're currently in, whereas with the kubectl command line, that's a bit more tricky. So what you'll notice is now that I've created my service, again, I'm connected through to another database, this time my Azure database. So now we've moved this application from my laptop to a private cloud instance of OpenShift, to a public cloud instance of OpenShift, to a managed service of OpenShift, and now onto AKS, a managed Kubernetes from a different provider. And finally, we're going to move this application, this exact same application, to IBM ICP on the IBM cloud. So this is their Kubernetes distribution. So let's create our secret again here. So if we just make sure we've got the right config. Let's just make sure we're in the right directory first. So cool, we've got our config ready to go. This is on a slightly different server, that's fine. And I'm going to create my secret. So let's just grab my command. Cool, secret created. All right, and let's create the deployment. And then the service. And actually what I need to do is make sure that I provide the namespace, because we hit that problem last time. Cool, and then finally here we're going to create another ingress object, which we showed off a little bit earlier by mistake. Cool, and we already had that, so that's fine. I can delete that just to show you. And then we'll just create that again. Cool, and now if I show you kubectl get ingress, all right, getting my demo fingers, you can see I have my ingress created here, and I come to my final page, and you'll see I definitely need to shave before I go back to work, and I can't mark that as done yet. So hopefully this has been really useful. This has showed us moving an application from different environments and really focusing on what's important, which is, how do I make this application portable? In this instance, I've externalized my config, and I have used a ubiquitous standard such as Postgres, which can run in lots of different places. And those are really important characteristics of application portability. I hope this video has been useful. I'm going to make a few more, hopefully, so please check in future. Thank you, and goodbye.